welcome this opportunity to speak on the recent announcement of bank reorganisation by the Minister for Finance on behalf of the Government. It is widely acknowledged both in this House and beyond that this Government has inherited the most appalling economic mess from the previous administration. Never before have the actions of so few hurt so many and at such a huge cost. Many of the decisions that need to be taken over the coming months and years are indeed unpalatable, but absolutely necessary for the survival of our economy, our society and our state. We need a fully functioning banking system for our economy to operate. We need a constant credit flow to support the SME sector, to protect and to help grow employment. However, we must also acknowledge that many of our citizens feel lost in this debate, that we spend more time discussing banking strategies than families, more time investing in failing institutions than investing in our people. While we have spoken of little else in the political sphere over the last number of years except banking, the survival of our banking system is linked most definitely to the survival of our society and our state. As I have said before, the language of the banking debate has been at best unfortunate and at worst demeaning and dehumanising. Individuals have been reduced to economic units. The cost of unemployment has been calculated in terms of loss to the exchequer in VAT receipts and the strain of social welfare payments. People need work. Employers need credit from banks, and banks need to be in a position to supply that credit and also to support families who have justifiable aspirations for themselves and the ones that they love. For the last 11 years, I've been working in the heart of the former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern's constituency in the shadow of the IFSC. We saw at first hand the reckless political posturing and the unquestioning culture that arose during the era of the Celtic Tiger. A society that said at the time that high-level bankers and developers were risk-takers and winners, and those who questioned the sustainability of their practices or the political ideology that underpinned it were whingers and moaners. While the reckless practices of those based in the IFSC and elsewhere were unregulated, those who lived in its shadow, or indeed in parts of my own constituency of Dublin North Central, were far more likely to see the inside of a prison. In this country, it seems the only real crime is poverty, and that poverty is the only crime we are prepared to punish in any real way. If this crisis passes us by, without jail time being served by those responsible, who lied, who falsified, or who quite clearly and blatantly broke the law, then the very security of our republic is at stake. How can anyone, any parent, any teacher, or any community leader convince a child that they live in a fair and just society when the only ones who are seen to serve time in prison are the ones whose society has failed from day one? That is a challenge for everyone in this House, that justice is seen to be done. We often talk about crime and we talk about antisocial behaviour. Well, the result of this banking and fiscal crisis has unleashed the most incredible antisocial consequences on too many families up and down this land. The need to recapitalise the banking system is a direct result of the antisocial behaviour of Fianna Fáil and government, and in particular their decision to implement a blanket bank guarantee in September 2008, a move that only the Labour Party opposed. As I have said earlier, it will take time to repair the damage of those 14 years, but in just 3 weeks, the new government has taken control of the banking system. We have not hidden away the extent of the damage, and we have, for the first time since this crisis began, been brutally honest with the Irish people. The stress tests are the most rigorous ever carried out on the Irish banking system, and because of that, it is likely that we now have an accurate picture of the true costs of Fianna Fáil's antisocial behaviour. The banking system will be restructured. It will have 2 core pillar banks that will be constructed around the real needs of the Irish economy. The weakest parts of the bank's non-core functions will be got rid of over time, avoiding fire sale losses, which the ECB had demanded. The new banking system will be an engine of economic growth by providing 12 billion of extra credit to businesses and households every year. There will be a clear out of bank boards focused on anyone who was a member before 2008. The stress test requirement will be 21 billion plus 3 billion of contingency funding, but this requirement will be reduced through banks being made to sell off assets, seeking private investment and burden sharing with subordinated bondholders. This is a clear break with the blank cheque policy of the past. We have to have a functioning banking system. That means we have to recapitalise the core of that system, though the cost is high. This restructuring allows us as a country to go forward. We are in recovery. This is a recovery process. But we need to know as a society that we will never let this happen again.
Thank you, Deputy Mike.